Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit, educational, or personal use, tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay, you guys, this is about Reed Slatkin. He was a Scientologist. He's no longer on Earth. And he was guilty of running one of the most infamous, fraudulent Ponzi schemes. You guys got to do your own math there, right? Just look between the lines. Reed Elliott Slatkin, January 22nd, 1949 to June 23rd, 2015, was an initial investor and co-founder of Earthlink, and the perpetrator of one of the biggest Ponzi schemes in the United States since that conducted by Charles Ponzi himself. Doesn't that make you guys ask questions? He was born in Detroit, Michigan. It's a very Freemasonic area there. Died June 23rd, 2015 in Los Angeles, California. Age 66. American, which doesn't really tell a whole lot. Former investment manager. Criminal status. USP Lompoc. Released on 6 July 2013. So I'm curious, how long did he actually serve? Because you guys know what's up. Ponzi scheme. Conviction, guilty plea, 15 counts. Mail fraud, wire fraud, money laundering, obstruction of justice. Isn't it funny how nobody else went to jail? It's a miracle. "14 years in U.S. federal prison. Allegedly. Slatkin had been that's the funny part, been an ordained Scientology minister since 1975. Around 1984, he changed from being a full-time minister to becoming a self-employed investor, and many of his investment clients and victims were also Scientologists. Ponzi scheme. From 1986 to 2001, Slatkin raised approximately $593 million, that's a lot of freaking money, from about 800 wealthy investors. Could those be the whales? Using the funds from later investors, he paid one group of early investors $279 million on their original $128 million investment, citing investment success without actually making most of the claimed investments. He also distributed millions in fees to associates as consultants. What happened to the consultants? Did they go to prison? An investigation by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, we know we could trust that, SEC, shut down the scheme in 2001. In May 2001, the SEC shut down Slatkin's scheme by filing an enforcement action and obtaining a temporary restraining order, freezing his remaining assets. On the same day as SEC action, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, we know that's a big deal, executed search warrants related to Slatkin. Wonder if they saw any of those children locked up in little rooms when they came to get Slatkin. The SEC brought the civil case in SEC versus Slatkin, civil action number 01-04823, CD Cal. The Central District of California brought the criminal case in U.S. versus Reed E. Slatkin. CR02-313. This is just, to me, I'm not an expert in these subjects, but the fact that only one person went to jail, I mean, ring-a-ding-a. He funneled millions of dollars to the Church of Scientology. Well, thank God, LAPD needs their overtime, don't they? And related entities, and many of his victims were Scientologists. Victims of his scheme include actors Joe Pantoliano, Ann Archer, Giovanni Ribisi, producers Art Linson, and Armyan Bernstein, film composer Mark Isham, and commentator Greta Van Susteren. He must have made the wrong people mad, you think? Guilty plea and post-conviction. Slatkin pleaded guilty to mail fraud, wire fraud, money laundering, which, by the way, is going on right now, but, and obstruction of justice. Does it count as obstruction of justice when police officers do not do their duties? And on September 2nd, 2003, he was sentenced to 14 years in federal prison. I would really like to know all the ins and outs of this story. Did he really serve time? And if he did he have like a real cushy existence? As much as you can in prison? Inquiring minds want to know. His Federal Bureau of Prisons registration number 24057-112, and he was initially incarcerated at the lowest security Taft Community Correctional Institution in Taft, California. By 2010, he had been transferred to the lowest security Lompoc Federal Correctional Institute in Lompoc, California. I'm going to look to see where this is. Hold on. Okay, so according to Google Maps, Lompoc, California is 3 hours, 18 minutes from Los Angeles, and I think a little longer to Hemet. I was just curious. Many of his victims were also Scientologists. Does that include the children? I just want to know, does that include children that are forced to be Scientologists with no free will? Because that doesn't really follow do as thou will, right? It doesn't really follow it. In July 2013, he was released from a halfway house in Long Beach, California. So how much time was actually served? That's what I'm wondering. And he was at a halfway house in Long Beach. Hold on a minute. The minute I see Ortega, I just get, I don't trust it. Hold on.